Greetings, wise ones. This is Melissa of 8th House Wisdom, author, psychotherapist, astrologer, feminine energy, and stellar planning expert. I'm here with a video for the Taurus full moon and Total Lunar Eclipse, otherwise known as a blood moon. If you'd like to know more about this upcoming energy and how to make the best of this final eclipse for 2022, stay tuned for the rest of this video. Well, here we are at the second of the fall eclipses for 2022 fall eclipse season. We are also on the second full moon of the year that has restarted the zodiac. So we're firmly rooted in shadow season with the appearance of a grounding light from Taurus energy that will hopefully anchor us as we experience this blood moon or total lunar eclipse on Tuesday, November 8th at 6:03 a.m. is when the moon will be exactly full. At 4:03 a.m., and this is Eastern Standard Time, is when the eclipse energy will begin. And in addition to all of that, we are now about a week into Mars retrograde, which may feel like you are moving backwards in many of the forward gains that you have made, especially as it relates to energy and that dynamic. But remember, we're in shadow season, so things are denser and more difficult to see. That's why we measure things that are fast at the speed of light, not the speed of shadow. Nonetheless, we have entered a period of time where we need to assess what's going on with our sense of value and our capacity to create within the world, and to really take a look at how we feel across that secure and security axis, which is Scorpio and Taurus, or second house and 8th house energy. There's going to be a lot activated around personal finance and other people's money. We're already seeing that happening. And then we're having this energetic event co-occur in the United States on the same day that we're having the U.S. midterm elections, which also makes this a very potent time, especially since, as I've talked about before, prior to astrology being this amazing tool that the masses could use, it was used for understanding global events and power structure events like monarchies and governments. So we called it the Kingmaker. So eclipses and predictions around eclipses have always had a lot to do with the political sphere and who's in power and who's not. And considering Scorpio and Taurus energy are also our power and control axis, where Taurus represents more control in the physical sense, since it's an earthen sign and it deals with the material world, whereas Scorpio is the power access in the water element, where they want the energetic control over the material plane, really controlling emotions and psychological pieces. Very similar traits to that people know about those two signs. So we're in this space right now where that energy is all swirling about, and there will be a number of additional planets that will be tied up in this lunation. So this is really a powerful time for us to take a look not only at our personal world, but the global community will be taking a look as countries will be impacted, and global economies and governments will be impacted by this energy. The beauty of it is that this full moon and this particular energy will be aspecting and lining up with the north node of destiny and essentially of reaching our enlightenment. So, though we're in shadow season, there are positive things for us to focus on and move through. However, you're probably going to need to buckle up, because this, again, is part 2 of the eclipse portal that opened up on the 25th of October, and the new moon energy is completely different. That's the start of something, so we're focused on great beginnings with that. And lunar energy and full moon energy, just like releasing, is focused on great endings. And as a species, human beings are much happier with things that start off great, and much more reticent to release and let go and have things end. That's why we tend to use words like transformation and transmutation for things that are really death and endings, because we get all up in arms about those as concepts, even though we must die a death every day in order to experience the new that's on the other side. So, thinking about what we need to do to go into this lunation, and this eclipse and really make the best of it, we need to take into account a few factors. One, that this is the 5th eclipse in this cycle. It's the last eclipse for 2022, and it'll be the last total full moon, total lunar eclipse, for the next 2 years. You can expect to see some things linked to the April 30th new moon solar eclipse in Taurus that may be manifesting or coming to fruition. You can also expect, again, major changes in the world power and financial structure as this emerges. This is also linked to events that took place on November 9th, 2003, where we had an eclipse in exactly the same degree and position in Taurus. And generally speaking, this lunation, aside from the eclipse, is going to highlight wanting to indulge in and release around sensual pleasures, thinking about and releasing some of our desires around aesthetic changes, beauty, and presentation, as Taurus being a Venus-ruled sign, and absolutely positively taking a look at our personal values and financial circumstances and situations and seeing where things are serving us and where we need to make changes, because this full moon's light highlights all of those things at a very high degree. So, when we think about wanting to apply the lunar wisdom formula, as I've said before, if you are accustomed to doing ritual work, that is not something that I recommend during eclipses, because the energy is extremely powerful and potent, and it can be really difficult to ground. However, it's good to know that lunar eclipses usually herald changes in the relationship sphere, and that the best and most practical advice for this full moon is to be like Elsa from Frozen and let it go. And I mean let go with the kind of passion and intensity that you would have for getting something started. Because we need to create a vacuum that will allow for the things that we want and need to come in and come through. And the more we release, the greater the vacuum and the greater the potential for us to attract and create an attractive force to call things in the afterglow and the reverb of this eclipse portal. So, who this is going to impact? Well, anyone who is a natal Taurus or Scorpio, Sun, Moon, or Rising. Also, anyone who is one of the fixed or authority signs, that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So, also in the fixed element, you will definitely be feeling this, because that action will activate angles. And then anyone who has planets, chart angles, or the cusps of their houses at 16 degrees will feel it. So, I'm raising my hand as a demonstration of this formula, because I am a Scorpio Sun, so that's how I shine. I'm Scorpio Mercury, how I think and communicate. I'm a Scorpio Venus, that's how I attract money and love and favor. I'm also a Scorpio Uranus in terms of how I innovate and revolutionize things. I have a Leo IC, that's the roots and home area of your chart. I have an Aquarius MC with midheaven, which is my reputation and my highest potential. And to top it off, my rising sign by degree, my descendant by degree, my moon by degree, and Venus by degree are all at 16. Therefore, I'm about to be super lit for this eclipse. And 2022 has been a year where I've been taking it easy. I've allowed for my birthday to be a really low-key event. As we move towards 8th House Wisdom's birthday, it's going to be a really low-key event, because I wanted to make space for what the eclipse brings forth. I'm going to be activated across my 5th and 6th houses, where Scorpio lives, my 3rd house and 4th house, where Leo lives, my 9th and 10th house, where Aquarius lives, and my 12th house, where this eclipse is actually taking place. When you know your chart, you're able to apply this information. And so I can see that themes of subconscious, travel, career, home and family, my mother in particular, work and service, and since it's activating Venus and the moon, my rising sign, potentially money and finances, and how I earn money will all pop up for me. If you want to know more about how this will impact you and your chart, head over to my blog so you can check out the rundown that I have for what the eclipse will be doing and what it will be impacting in each house, according to either your rising sign or your sun sign. Again, as it relates to working with full moon and total eclipses, remember that things get triggered as far as 6 weeks before events happen, and that the energy signature of eclipses are more like the immediate energy signature of eclipses are more like 12 to 18 months versus the 2-week kind of 6-month imprint that we're used to with regular new and full moons. We also have an additional cycle that goes every 8, 18 and a half, 27 years because of the cycle that happens. So every 18 and a half, 19 years, an eclipse happens at the same space. You can see that with this eclipse, as we talked about. The last eclipse in this degree occurred November 9th, 2003. So you can see that cycle within cycle process. And so while things may be new, depending upon your age, nothing is really new under the sun, and everything is a recycling and a furthering of energy in a beautiful architecture of divine timing. Knowing that, it's really important for you to think about ways to address and to empower yourself for the eclipse season. And I also have a series of eclipse affirmations that I would like to offer to each one of you, depending upon your sun sign or the house that's being impacted. Aries, I draw in healing from the earth. Taurus, I allow myself to flow with whatever comes. Gemini, I hold myself in light and love. Cancer, I am strong, capable, and wise. Leo, I find stillness within my mind, body, and heart. Virgo, I tune in and connect with my infinite potential. Libra, I merge with the healing power of my body. Scorpio, I allow my passions to rise and guide me. Sagittarius, I flow with the peace inside my heart. Capricorn, I fill my body with restorative energy. Aquarius, I forgive and surround myself with love. And Pisces, I love myself and accept myself wholeheartedly. Please remember that the area where the eclipse is taking place is where you really want to leverage releasing and letting go for your life, as they say in the creative space, because you really need to empty out if you are to call in new things. For those of you who follow me, you know that my love of the moon is about following this body that grows in light and then returns back to darkness, because it can guide our physical manifestation abilities on planet Earth. But that requires us staying in sync with it and following the cycles within a cycle and matching our energy to its energy so that we remain in a space of flow and not working against the current. So, the final thing that I'd like to leave you with are just a few prompts for how to passionately and intensely release anything that would hold you back in months to come as a way of honoring this powerful lunar energy. On this full moon, what are you celebrating, and what recent blessings or lessons are you grateful for? In what ways are you working or doing something that's not consistent with your genuine values? And how do you let go of this and feel the way that you want to feel? And finally, what do you honestly believe you deserve in life? And how can you remove any obstacles that are preventing you from granting this to yourself? I hope that this has been informative and giving you some insight around how to personally work with this moon and how to set yourself up to manifest big as we roll into the next annual calendar year. If you want to know more about how to really work with the moon, you need to head over to my blog so you can get a free copy of your birth chart if you don't already have one, which will then allow you to check out where all the degrees and house placements are in your chart, and will give you the setup needed to utilize my DIY moon manifesting guide, the Lunar Wisdom Formula, which is a great guide for women and men who are interested in manifesting. Putting the finalizing touches on the 2023 guide for information that will list all of the astrology important dates for 2023 and the lunar cycle. Anyone who purchases the book now will immediately get the updated copy. And it's an easy and really low cost way to be able to work with this cycle and work with this information each month. And then you can apply astrology to make your life easier and live with more ease and grace. If you would like greater support, then with a higher touch, then join Lunate, the Wisdom Circle, which is my monthly moon membership where I curate additional videos and resources and journals to support you in deepening your lunar practice. This is not the moon that I necessarily recommend charging crystals in under, because eclipses are quite potent energy, but it's always a good time to purchase crystals for the upcoming new moon and beyond. And if you do so, make sure to head over to the link in the description below to get high quality, ethically sourced crystals using my 8th house wisdom discount for 11% off. And they have some of the best curated crystal collections I've ever seen. If you want to know more, as I said from before, head over to the Wisdom Well vlog. You'll be able to see any additional pieces of information specific to the astrology of this full moon lunar eclipse and the other influences around it. And I hope that each one of you is able to tap in and find your grounding light so that you can use this powerful energetic time to make all of your dreams come true. Because when you work with a system like astrology that can provide really specific dates and information, it really does allow life to become easier and more graceful. Life does come with an instruction manual. It's written in the stars, and once we learn how to read it and access it, everything can change for us. Until next time, wise ones, sending you so much light and love. Take care.